Hey witches, welcome back to the channel. My name is Taya and we're back with another video. Today I want to talk a little bit about witchy goal setting for the new year. I feel like I'm a little bit behind the eight ball. It's already the 29th of December and I haven't even set my goals yet for the new year. I haven't done any of the things I usually do. So I thought, let's sit down together and I'll sort of explain to you my process and how I go about everything, and maybe that'll get me a little inspired to actually sit down and do the work. So basically I have sort of two New Years. I have Samhain, which is sort of my spiritual New Year, and then like January 1st, which is the calendar New Year. And what I typically will do is at Samhain is when I sit down and I start really diving deep into the past year, what I've accomplished, how did I meet my goals? What do I need more of? What do I need less of? What do I want to do? So that by the time we hit this period between Christmas and New Year, I'm ready to start setting goals and really getting into what it is that I want to accomplish in the next year. And for me, I try to tie in my witchcraft to all of my goals. So yeah, a couple of things that I like to do. And I'll actually show you some of the stuff as we go through, so hopefully it'll explain it a little better. But the first thing, this is actually something I haven't done before, but I really want to start doing, I've always wanted to do it, is a year ahead reading, right? Where you sit out and you lay out all your cards for the year ahead. And what I'm hoping is it's going to give me sort of a framework, an additional like witchy framework around which I can sort of hang my goals, my resolutions, all that kind of stuff. And this year I received an excellent layout from Jasmine Ambrosia, whose channel I will link in the description down below. And yeah, let's take a look at it. So this is Jasmine's New Year Ahead spread, and it's quite comprehensive. So I'm really excited to give it a chance and give it a shot. So first you pull a year card, and then you pull a personal year card. I'll be honest, Jasmine, if you're watching, maybe you could explain the difference between the year card and the personal year card. But I'm assuming one is sort of about, this is how your whole year will go just overall. And this is sort of that personal, how it's going to go, maybe more like your personal life. Then you pull a work, spirituality, and a family card, which I think is cool. Then you pull 12 cards, one for each month and a 13 for the 13th moon. And then you have a blessing, a lesson, and a curse. So I think that's really interesting. Jasmine, if you follow here, Jasmine Ambrosia, she's here on YouTube. You can actually find this spread on her, I believe on her business page, she's shared it. So it's floating around out there if you go looking for it. And I think it's very comprehensive, and I'm really, really looking forward to working with it to sort of help set up my new year. And like I said, give me a bit of a structure, a witchy structure around which to hang my goals. So that's the kind of year ahead spread that I'm looking to use. And like I said, hang my goals around. Now, the next thing that I do is I choose a word of the year. So it comes from this book called One Word That Will Change Your Life by Dan Britton, Jimmy Page, and John Gordon. It's a little Christian, but that's okay. I don't mind. It's got some good information about how to come up and find your word. At this point, I've been doing it for, oh gosh, going on probably 10 years. So I don't need to really use the book anymore, but it's a great overview about what the one word is and how it can, change and focus your life and how you come about determining what your one word for the year would be. So I work with that. And then typically I will create an art piece or just something to kind of remind me throughout the year of my word. And I'll show you in a second an example of the last couple of years because I haven't done this year yet. And then the other thing that I like to create is a vision board. And that vision board is sort of accumulation of all the different goals that I have. And it's just a way to visualize them and put them together. And so I will share that with you in just a second. And the other thing I do is, of course, I do goal setting in all the major categories of my life. So this year I've decided I will do work, which is my guild, personal practice, which includes my Red Thread Academy studies and this YouTube channel, home care, health care, and hobbies. I think those were all the ones. Let me just review from years past. Yeah, that kind of covers all of the different categories. So I'm going to show you now how I sort of put these together in the past. And I keep them in my planner for the year so that I have them there for quick and easy reference. So I'm going to show you the last couple of years for 2021 and 2022, how those have come together, and then we'll take a quick look. So this is my 2021 word of the year. I actually had 2 words this year. I had surrender and brave, and you can see I just sort of collage them together with some cute, in big letters with some cute stickers, and just sort of give myself something visual to focus on for the year. And then in 2021, so I had my word of the year, and then I had my goals for the year. So I had health, business, voice, spirit, and space. Space being like my home care. So I kind of do those up. And then what I come in with is this sort of vision board that kind of just goes through all the things, right? It links together visually a lot of my different goals and just things I wanted to do in the year. Some of them, like I wanted to get a witchy tattoo. So it wasn't even necessarily like a goal, just something that I wanted. I wanted to learn more about esoteric scripts, that kind of stuff. What's in a name, right? I was like, I need to come up with that, witchy name, etc. Wanted to start working with the wheel of the year. So this kind of tends to be a more like witchy. This year I'm going to kind of pull in some of my more mundane goals as well. But yeah, and then I create this board. So in 2022, my year, the word was foundation. You can see it was kind of like adulted like a boss. You totally got this, crushed it, did my best, get it girl, heck yeah. So I use sort of all of these like whoop whoop kind of quotes. And then I set my goals. And I had for my practice, like my witchcraft practice, my Red Thread Academy, guild, YouTube, health, and space. So it was like my actual goals. I make a sheet. And then again, I had this really lovely vision board for the year. So I really wanted to plan a trip. That was part of my personal practice, was I wanted to work on a spiritual trip. So right? Spiritual trip, I wanted to go to Scotland. I wanted to learn Gaelic. My body is a temple, was this one here. I wanted to do a bit more work with the Kaliak, the Red Thread Academy where I study, creating a study group, having these like beautiful organized witchy spaces, which is unfortunately didn't come to pass. So I think I'll carry those over into the next years. And I just do these in like a PowerPoint type thing, and I just copy and paste pictures that I find on the internet into here. I find that's for me the best way to create these kind of vision boards is to be able to kind of go through, right, and just search keywords and find pictures that represent what I want, because a lot of what I'm looking for isn't necessarily going to be, I'm not going to find it in the latest magazine to just sort of cut out and paste, which I mean certainly works. But I find with a lot of my more esoteric goals, it works better to like search them online and then cobble them together into these vision boards for myself. So yeah, that's a little bit of my process, if you will. This year I'm going to add in the year ahead reading, and then there's the word of the year, the goals themselves, and a vision board. So I want to talk a little bit though about the goal setting and how I make it witchy, even if it's maybe not. So the first thing is I work with SMART goals, which I know for a lot of you is like, duh, okay, like moving on. So feel free to just skip past this. But SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So I personally have to look this up every year and be like, okay, what does that mean again? So specific means what exactly will be accomplished? What actions will you take? It's the who, what, when, where, why. Measurable means like what kind of data is going to measure the goal. Sometimes it's just, it will be complete and done. And sometimes it's like, hey, I want to grow my YouTube channel from, 2,000 subscribers to 3,000 subscribers, right? I'll know I hit the goal when I hit 3,000 subscribers. Is it achievable? Is it doable? Do you know how you're going to accomplish this? Do you have the skills to do it? And if you don't, can you learn the skills to do it? Is it relevant? So does it tie into your broader goals? Why is this result important for you? So sometimes what happens is we have goals and it's like, my mom really wants this for me, so I set it as my goal for the year. But when I look at my overall goals in my life, right, I don't know, going to medical school just doesn't really jive with the witchy life that I have set up for myself. It's not what I really want. So is that goal really relevant? Is that really what I want? And finally, it's time bound. So there needs to be a time frame for accomplishing your goal. So I find for the most part, right, it's the year, so I will accomplish this in this year. But what I find helps is if I can break it down into monthly chunks. So this is how I will accomplish this, doing this each month, right? Or like for my YouTube, when I started, my goal was 2 videos a week, right? So that was it was time bound that way. Like there will be a video twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then finally, what I like to do is I like to sigilize the goals as much as I can. So we'll do one here. The goal of finishing year 2 of my Red Thread Academy studies. So is it specific, right? Finish all the assignments and then perform the final year 2 initiation. So that's very specific, right? I'll know exactly what I have to do. Is this measurable? So to me, I'm like, okay, let's break it down. It's measurable in that once I hand in assignments, then I know that they're kind of done and complete. And I usually hand them in groups of 5. So if I were to do, say, 5 exercises a month, I have 35 assignments left. So if I do 5 exercises a month, that would give me about 7 months to complete. But it's measurable in groups of 5, so that works. Is it achievable? Absolutely. I've done it before. I finished year 1. I can certainly finish year 2. And I have a great study group that I work with now to keep me motivated and on track. Is it relevant? Yeah, it ties into my other long-term goals to eventually start a coven, and my more immediate goal to live my best witchy life. It is part of my personal practice. Working on and completing assignments is part of my witchcraft practice. And is it time bound? Well, yeah. Basically finish it by the end of July. That would give me January through July 7 months, and that would be about the same pace as year 1. So yeah, I think that's a good, smart goal. And then how would I sigilize it? So I could create an overall sigil that just says, I complete year 2 RTA. That would work. But what I could do is, I could complete that master sigil and then create like, what would you call them? Extra supporting sigils. Like, I am excited to work on RTA assignments. Or I complete RTA assignments with ease. I am motivated to self-study. Again, that might be a little broad because self-study also includes lots of other things, right? Not necessarily RTA. But right, I can sigilize that goal. And I do that with sort of all of my goals. Sometimes I don't sigilize the goal itself, but the supporting behaviors, the supporting things that need to be in place to help me complete it, such as being excited to work on assignments, completing my assignments with ease, being motivated to do my self-study, right? Those are all going to support that goal of completing year 2. So going through like kind of generally the type of goals I tend to have, I could have sigils for, right, excited to work on RTA. I'm motivated to work my personal witchcraft practice. I find YouTube topics, content topics with ease. I make healthy choices. I take pleasure in organizing my home. And all sorts of actions, right, that can support my sort of like overall goals. So do you see how I'm saying you can create like lots of just behaviors that, sigilize the behaviors that you really want to bring more out of yourself to support your individual goals. You can sigilize the goal itself. And what I am sort of thinking of is bringing back my best life servitor and using, these goals. Its job is to keep me on track with my goals. Its job is to, so sigilize the goals, put them all together into this one master sigil. That is, I live my best life. Then we have the goal sigils that support it. And then we have the behavioral components sigilized that support it, and work with that and almost create like a master, almost a servitor that's like directed by these, right? So its job is to help me get excited about working. Its job is to help me complete assignments with ease, to keep me focused, to keep me on pace, etc. So I'm kind of playing with that idea again. Last time I did a My Best Life sigil, it worked, or servitor, it worked really, really well. I really enjoyed, I got a lot out of it. I don't know if I need to go to quite that level. I think I'm just going to start with just sigilizing the actual goals and the supporting behaviors and things that I need to sort of tweak the goal to where I need it to be. And you can add sigils in as the year goes through. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So it's going to start with that year ahead reading. I think that's going to be interesting. I have to choose my word for the year. I have a few ideas, but I'm not sure for sure. I need to set those goals, which I kind of haven't roughed out. But again, right, I just need to sit down and formalize those. And then I'll create that vision board to kind of pull all the pieces together. It's almost like that vision board is almost a sigil in and of itself. So yeah, do you do this kind of work around this time of year, you know, or do you do it at a different time of year? Maybe you do it at Samhain, at the Witch's New Year. I know some people do. But yeah, I thought it would be kind of interesting to just share with you guys. That's my process. Hopefully it gets me a little bit motivated to get my butt in gear and get everything done and completed and into the workings, and yeah, setting up for an excellent new year. So yeah, share your processes. I'd love to know what you do. And otherwise, yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks so much, you guys.